Well, after the disappointment of the last episode, we've managed to get ourselves in a situation where if we win both matches today, that's the symbol for winning 2 matches, we win a league and cup double. Which, I guess that's a consolation prize if you're not winning the Champions League. Hello and welcome to part 188 of It's Coming Home. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our final Premier League game of the season at home against Norwich and the FA Cup final against Manchester City. A Manchester City that we've just beaten 4-1 in the league to put ourselves in the position where we can win the league with a win. We've got 2 consecutive wins in the league, Newcastle and Manchester City. We needed extra time to get past Leicester in the FA Cup, but Man United are bottling it. There's always a bottler in Football Manager, and it's often me, but Man United lost to Bournemouth. I was a little bit worried there when they won 7-0 against Preston. I thought, well, that's that then. They're just going to win every game from now on. They're going to close the goal difference gap. It's all gone wrong. But then we just kept doing what we've got to do. Bournemouth did us a favour while we were thumping Manchester City, and now we go into the final day. Manchester United play Liverpool, knowing they have to beat Liverpool. They're not going to make up the goal difference. They've got to beat Liverpool whilst we lose at home to Norwich. It's not a foregone conclusion for us, though, because Norwich are in 5th place, knowing that a win is going to go a long way towards getting them into the Champions League for the first time in goodness knows how long. Ever, maybe? Have Norwich ever got in the Champions League? I would suggest probably not. So it's a big day for Norwich. They're going to have a lot of reasons to want to win, but then obviously Liverpool are going to have plenty of reasons to want to stop Man United winning the Premier League as well. So 2 massive matches. If ever there was an argument for needing picture-in-picture in Football Manager, I know I make that argument all the time, but here's another example of it. We want home versus Norwich full screen, Man United versus Liverpool in the corner, and we want to be able to watch them both. Sports Interactive, if you're watching, and why wouldn't you be? This every year people say, Kev, what features do you want for the new game? And for the last 15 years, that's been the only one. The only new feature I want. Leave everything else the same. Give me picture-in-picture. And oh my word, is that a game changer. Right, let's get into the match anyway. This is the team we're putting out there for the Norwich game. We're going with Powell in goal, a back four of Candemil, Beron, Lee and Mayer, Cristiano and Yamin in midfield, Cirillo, Costa and Goff behind Mira up front. Let's get into the match. Let's just do our bit. Let's win our. If we win our game, it doesn't matter what's going on in the other one. I've made my case for picture-in-picture there. But if we beat Norwich, it doesn't matter what Manchester United and Liverpool get up to. And I guess we've just got to focus on that, haven't we? There you go. And we've got the opportunity to avenge what happened last time as well. So we're going to be double motivated. We want to win the Premier League and we want to avenge whatever wrong Norwich have done to us in the past. I have no idea what they've done, but clearly they have wronged us at some point. So we want to right that wrong. But it is Norwich with the first proper attack of the game. And it's a free kick it's waking Powell up. I don't think there was ever any danger of that ending up in the back of the net. But it's just reminded Powell that they're a good side. They're having their best season, certainly since I was a kid. And I mean, part of me thinks it'd be nice to see Norwich in the Champions League, but the only way they're going to get there is at our expense. What's going on here? Have I misunderstood the scenario somehow? Manchester United are ahead against Liverpool, and that's put them top of the league. Kev can't do maths once again, so we actually do have to beat Norwich. But thankfully, we have just gone 1-0 up through Yamin. Home 1, Norwich 0 on 27 minutes, and that does put us back up above United again. You can tell the pressure's on. The cough when we score a goal is back. I got so excited. That cough brought tears to my eyes. Good. It was one of those coughs where if I'd have just coughed when I first felt it, I'd have been fine. But I tried to hold it off thinking, I'll make it to the end of the match without coughing. In the end, the cough was trying to bleed out my eyeballs. So now I look like I'm crying, which I guess it's better to have watery eyes at this point, because if it all goes wrong and I've still got watery eyes at the end of the match, I wasn't crying about the result. I already had watery eyes. I'm getting my excuses in early. Yamin now in midfield again, finds Candemil. Candemil doesn't do. I mean, that the move just ended there. Just ended. This seems like the wrong time to do it in the middle of a title decider. But last couple of days audio, what do you think? I've gone back to the old style audio for today. Couple of people mentioned they quite liked what we'd done over the last couple of days. A couple of people said it was a bit rubbish. Most people probably didn't even notice. It hasn't been a new microphone, but what I've done is tried to fiddle around in the editing software to balance the audio a little bit, because I am conscious when I'm editing. What a goal from Costa. What a goal. We'll just watch the replay of this and then get back to the discussion of editing and volume. It's not the time, Kev. Well, when else am I going to do it? People don't watch channel updates. That is a lovely, lovely goal. But yeah, I am conscious that I get loud and then quiet, and it can be quite difficult, especially for headphone users. So I tried to use the software that balances that, but I think it went a little bit too far and made it sound a little bit ropey. But your feedback on the last couple of days' audio, very much appreciated. Go back, rewatch yesterday's video, then watch this one again. Which audio do you prefer? Right, back to the match. We're not discussing audio anymore. Cirillo to Costa. As it stands, we're going to win the Premier League for the third time in our history, second time in a row. It falls to Yamin in midfield again. What a big season Yamin has had, coming from a long-term injury and being very much fourth choice midfielder last year. He has come into his own as a regular starter for us this time around. And it's Maya to Costa. Goff. Can Goff justify his 113 million? I mean, he's done it multiple times over throughout the season, but it would have been nice to see him do it once again. Mira not playing particularly well today. A few people have said, Kev, have you forgotten Mira's better as a complete forward? I haven't. It's not that I've forgotten that that's what we decided. It's that he's so much better position suitability wise as an advanced forward. An advanced forward fits the way we play, and that's the way Thor plays. And for the most of the second half of this season, Mira's been an advanced forward and played really well. But there's been a couple of times there where you lot have been watching when he's been doing it and he hasn't performed. So I don't know. Answers on a postcard. Should Mira be going back to being a complete forward, even though the game is telling me he's better at being an advanced forward? Goff with the flick on there to absolutely nobody. This is a strange highlight to show me. It's going to end with a goal. It's just which end of the pitch it's going to end up with, because you don't show me this unless it directly results in a goal. Lee can't quite win the aerial battle with the Norwich attacker, and Norwich with the corner, not with the cross, Kev. Wasn't a corner, wasn't a throw. Is that another Thompson? That's not the one from Tottenham, is it? Chris Thompson was at Tottenham. Has he now gone to Norwich? Or is there another striker called... That's a midfielder called Thompson. So many Thompsons. He's got an absolutely open goal there. Lee missed the header and then didn't actually get back to cover either. Man United are still beating Liverpool, and for the first time in a little while we're having to check that scoreline again. Oh my word, Man United have beat... And it's Nick Wilson who's doing it. So it's Man United 4, Liverpool 1. We've had some painful score draws in the business end of this season. I really don't want another one today. What do we do to go on and make sure we win this game? Lee is struggling. Baron struggling. Maya. But I'm bringing Alif on. I think Alif is very quickly becoming the best defender we've got at the club. I need to start playing him regularly. Thor nods down to Lee. Lee, it's bouncing around in the area, but Costa's scored again. It's an 11th goal of the season for Robert Costa. It was pinballing around in the penalty area. It was with Lee, it was with Baron. It ended up with Costa, and Costa is very much a big game player and was not going to miss when the chance was presented to him. And at 3-1 up with 9 minutes to go, fingers crossed, it doesn't matter what's going on at Manchester United, because we should be home and dry at this point. But, we've messed things up from here before. Let's drop a little bit of praise for the last couple of minutes. Cirillo's picked up a knock, which is something we need to bear in mind for that FA Cup final. Remember, home have never won the FA Cup. A league and cup double would be an excellent piece of consolation for not winning the Champions League, or not even making it to the Champions League semi-finals this season. Yamin again. Yamin's been excellent today. Zupancic to Yamin again. And Yamin plays it out to Alif. Can we make it 4? Alif can't get the crossover, but it doesn't matter because we've won the Premier League for the second year in a row. Do we not get a trophy presentation animation? Seems a little bit harsh. But we know we've won it. You know we've won it. Let's just pat ourselves on the back and then dust ourselves off and make sure... There you go. Home retain the Premier League. We've been given a big bunch of cash as well as part of that, which, by the way, I'm already in the process of spending. I'm not going to spoil any potential transfers today. We'll save them for the transfer special, but there is already business going on. But our concern now is the FA Cup final. Can we do a double? I've just looked at the thing. We've got nearly a month's wait until the FA Cup final. This is mad. How do we keep everybody fit? No schedule selected. I don't understand. In fact, if we have a little look, so that's the 4th of June is the FA Cup final. We'll have actually started playing in the Nations League finals for the summer by the time the FA Cup final comes around. The final of the Nations League could potentially be on the same day as the FA Cup final. How am I going to be in 2 places at once? John Goff, who's he going to play for? This is going to be an interesting mess. Well, this is interesting. So we're without 5 of our players for the FA Cup final because of international duty. Powell, Thor, Garth, Zipancic and Aleph. So we can ask to postpone the FA Cup final. This is mad. That pushes it back to the 11th of June. Man City also requested to have it pushed back. The FA Cup final now taking place on the 11th of June. So at least it's no longer going to clash with the Nations League, which I guess I'm going to go and play now, which will be tomorrow's video. And then I'll come back and do the FA Cup final and try not to spoil what happened in that. Brain hurting. The FA Cup final saga continues. We currently have 26 players away on international duty, with the match due to take place in 3 days. So it's now been pushed forward another week. Saturday the 18th of June. This is mad. We've been linked with this guy as the transfer window is open. I'm tempted to sign him just because I love his name. It's not even just your classic Peter Peters that you sometimes get. His parents have put some thought into this. Mum says to Dad, I really want to call my... I've always dreamt of calling my son Peter. Yeah, but my surname's... Yeah, love, my surname's Peters, though. Typical Dutch accent there. We can't call our son Peter. Ah, but husband dearest, what if we spell it with an I? You're a genius, love. Dutch accent again. Peter Peters. I want to bring him to home. This has been going on so long. Transfers have started arriving. As you can see, we're going English this summer, at least initially. Kyle Swan is a 17-year-old right back. English under-21 international, 2-star current ability, 4-star potential, who was at Reading, played a full season for Reading in the Championship last year. He comes in for £6 million. And then we've also brought in Ben Young, who you might have seen playing a couple of England episodes here and there. 1 goal from 3 caps. I've not brought him in to be a striker, despite that being his natural position. I've brought him in because he's accomplished playing in all of these positions. It's just handy having a young English player who can play in like 6 different positions in our squad, which is, I mean, before someone corrects me and says, Kev, that's 5, 2 central midfielders plus those. So 6 potential starting spots in our squad, or 6 positions he can come off the bench and play in. So Ben Young, 3.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability, already almost as good as Thor as a striker. And in the mix in all of these other positions with kind of our best reserves. But Ben Young, really, we've spent £50 million on a player, the main purpose of which is to sit on the bench. He's going to be our super sub. I don't see him ever breaking into the team in any position, but he's going to sit on the bench every single match and probably come off the bench every single match because there's 6 players he could come on for. And with him being English as well, it just seemed sensible at the time. But that might be because I'm delirious because of all these different videos I'm trying to do at the same time. More transfer news. Riyad Saidi has finally left the club. Yeah, didn't quite become the forever goalkeeper I hoped. He is playing regularly for France, 12 caps for France now. And we did have him for 6 years. So, yes, £53 million was a lot to spend on him at the time, but we've recouped 20 million of that and got 6 years of football out of him. 3 years as our regular starting goalkeeper, including a year when we won the league, and 3 years as a very, very good backup goalkeeper. I think that's worth £33 million. That's what, £5.5 million a season? That was lightning quick maths for me. Look at that. Goodness me. But yeah, £5.5 million a season for Saidi. I think that's reasonable. So he's gone to Brighton. And we have got a vacancy then for a backup goalkeeper, which we will endeavour to fill. Obviously, we've got McLean, the young Scottish goalkeeper. Ideally, I'd have someone a little bit better than that to sit on the bench, though. So we will put the feelers out. We've got plenty of money to spend, so we'll go and find a goalkeeper at some point this summer, which we'll get stuck into in the transfer special when that eventually happens. The FA Cup final looks like it is happening this time, although we still have 7 players away on international duty, so it's going to be interesting. I don't know who the 7 are. It's going to be interesting seeing what kind of team we can put together. So thankfully the squad isn't too decimated by internationals. Yamin is away, as is Aleph, Mendes, Diarra. We've got a couple of injuries, Mercier and Duranovic injured as well. But we are actually able to put out a pretty strong team still, in light of all of the players away for internationals. And because a lot of the squad have been away playing international football, a lot of them are quite fit still. But then there are some who are fully fit because they've been training, but haven't played a football match for quite a while, which is a problem. John Goff, I feel like he probably does need to be on the bench. Let's get him on for Torres. This is me not picking my own bench. I'm going to break this habit. I'm going to start picking my own bench. Drame can now finally play, who we brought in January. Excellent. So he can sit on the bench. And Ben Young is there as well. Do we need Joksimovic or do we want Bogarski? I think we probably want Bogarski on the bench. And there you go. McLean does step up and sit on that bench. So for the FA Cup final, the first FA Cup final in our history and an opportunity to win a league and cup double. I feel like I did the intro to this episode about 3 hours ago. I probably did. But let's finish things off, hopefully with an FA Cup win. We've got Powell in goal. A back four of Candemil, Beron, Lee and Mayer. Zupancic and Cristiano in midfield. Siriello, Costa and Flager behind Mira up front. Let's get into this. It is mad that we're playing in an FA Cup final and we're able to play our new signings. Ben Young's played the entire season for West Brom. The transfer window closes. He comes in the middle of June, still gets to play in the FA Cup final. It's similar to what Dean Morris did when he went to Liverpool. I remember it was a very late, not Liverpool, Tottenham. It was a very late FA Cup final that year as well. And Dean Morris's debut for Tottenham, having left Huddersfield for a big fat fee, was the FA Cup final, which, if I recall, he got sent off in on his debut, which, what a hero Dean Morris is. Hopefully Young has a slightly better time of things. I mean, if he can follow a similar career trajectory to Dean Morris, lower level Premier League club, £50 million move to a big club, debut in the FA Cup final, goes on to play 50 times for England, I think Ben Young will be pretty happy with that, because that wasn't the trajectory his career was on when West Brom got relegated this season and he thought he was going to be back down to the Championship where he's been playing for the last however many years. Candemil with the ball over the top to Mira. Mira looking for options in the middle, but no one was able to keep up with him. Mira's one of the few who's actually properly fit going into this game, I think, as he's been away with Brazil and actually playing international football. Weirdly, Spain not picking Costa anymore. Is it Italy, I think, not picking Siriello? Germany not picking Flager? I'm not sure what it is with teams not picking our players. I think there is still a little bit of an issue with our reputation, in that our reputation isn't as high as the likes of Man United, Real Madrid, that kind of level club. I think it does count against our players a little bit, which seems a little bit unfair when we've won 3 Premier Leagues. What is it, 3 Premier Leagues in 5 years? Back-to-back Premier League winners, always in the latter stages of the Champions League. At some point, you've got to ignore reputation, so surely. Right, let's passionately say, do better. And we've got a few players who are getting very tired, so we are going to need to start making use of that bench fairly early in this second half. Kandamil struggling. We've got no Alif though. Zupancic struggling as well, which I guess is a route onto the pitch for Bogarski. Glad I put him onto the bench. Maya with the free kick, and it's a lovely free kick. Ceriello scores his 12th goal of the season, and 1-0 up, 55 minutes on the clock. And it's been coming. Looking at the stats, we definitely are the team who deserve to open the scoring. Ceriello loses his marker beautifully there, puts us 1-0 up. It is a lovely goal, and I think we're going to celebrate by getting Bogarski on into that midfield because Zupancic is tired. So Bogarski is going to come on and play in there. He's played through most of this FA Cup run. We have been playing a rotated team throughout the majority of the FA Cup run, although we are doing a first choice team for the final because, you know, we've had 7 weeks off to prepare for it. I don't think there was any justification for rotating today. Right, Costa is going to come off for Drame's debut, and Thor can come on for Mira. So despite saying Ben Young would come on every match, he's actually just going to sit down on the bench as I decide to bring Drame on instead, who I spent, I think it was around £35 million on in January, but haven't been able to play because he'd played for both Monaco and West Brom, because he was at West Brom on loan over the course of the season. So he's sat out completely for the last 7 months, and it's going to be interesting to see if he's up there, same sort of standard as Mendes and Costa, competing for that attacking midfield position. And also whether he's got any kind of understanding with Young from their time at West Brom together for the first half of last season. Thor is in behind here. Thor squares it to Drame, who had the opportunity to wrap up an FA Cup win on his debut with a little bit of a tap in. We've given him the number 10 shirt. We have high hopes for Drame, but no, he didn't score there. But Thor's in behind again, and once again it's Drame charging up to accompany him, but Flager's actually there first. Comes back to Cristiano, hits the crossbar. And we've had plenty of opportunities to wrap this up. This isn't going to be a last 1-1 disappointment of the season. Surely we've got to be able to hold on at this point. There's 10 seconds left. City have a throw in. It doesn't matter. We've won the FA Cup, our first FA Cup win in our first FA Cup final, and we have wrapped up a league and cup double for home. That makes it, I think that makes it worth not winning the Champions League. When we look back on this save, when all is said and done, we want to be able to say we won everything, and having a league and cup double in there, that's pretty blooming pleasant. Any mention of anything of note in there? We've qualified for the Europa League. I'd like to think we're in the Champions League, or has it ticked over to a new season? And is this what happened the other year when we had a team that had already qualified for the Europa League? I wonder. It is the 2040 Europa League. So it's because we've played this FA Cup final so late, it's glitched over. We've seen this happen before and didn't know how it had happened. Now we've got an explanation. We've qualified for next season's Europa League already because we've played the FA Cup final so late. This is obviously a regular thing. Madness. But we will get back to some normality tomorrow with the Nations League stuff with England, and then back for a transfer window the next day. I'm going to be up all night getting all these videos sorted. If you have enjoyed that though, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.